All right, we're live.
So now that we're changing the format, is the dumpster still on fire, or is that like
It's one of those
there's
industrial-sized dumpsters now.
yeah? It's
Oh, I gotta show you guys my cool shirt.
oh god!
What to say?
Make America lift again. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, I gotta actually talk to the mic, otherwise people can't see it.
Yeah,
There we go.
nice.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Do people throw rotten fruit at you and you run down the street in that thing?
Some people don't get it. I think they're like, whatever, because it's dangerous to be a Trump supporter. So it's like I gotta kind of. I'm like, this is Arnold, but I am Trump supporter. But no, this is Arnold. This is Arnold. It's not what you.
Yeah.
So,
I've heard about Trump supporters beating up Clinton supporters and the other way around, Clinton supporters beating up Trump supporters. I'm like, come on, people, really?
I
And
know.
then there's all the Bernie supporters that are still sitting at home crying.
I know. Why don't we just beat them up? They're little weenies. We should all be beating up them. That's. I don't get it. You know.
The dumpster's definitely still on fire. I think we resolved that question.
Anyway, we should talk about what we really like, the big topic that we were discussing this offline.
Yeah.
But I had this kind of idea, and I think when we started Entreprogrammers, we sort of were thinking about making this kind of a business and like a mastermind group like thing where we'd help people create mastermind groups. And after the episode last week, where Derek brought up some good points, and then actually someone on the Simple Programmer Facebook group said, "Yeah, I stopped listening to Entreprogrammers because basically, like the Simple Programmer stuff was too advanced for what like starting a new business, and then you guys aren't really programmers anymore, except for Derek."
Minor detail.
So what I was thinking we might do, which we'll have to figure out how to do this, but is to to create a spin-offs and to like say, okay, audience out there. So now we're talking to you guys and gals. Would you like to become Entreprogrammers? And what I mean by that is, what if we created these? What if we basically said, okay, who wants to have a mastermind group like us?
I thought you were going to say, who wants to be a millionaire for a second?
Right.
Who wants to be a millionaire?
So like, who wants to create a mastermind group like us and be Entreprogrammers, but be like the spin-off Entreprogrammers? And maybe we start off with like maybe 3 spin-off groups, depending on how many people we have interested in. And they do the same thing that we did, right? They essentially do Google Hangout, and we'll help them like, it's not complicated, but we could help them get set up, match the people together, and then they have to be transparent. They have to abide by the same kind of bylaws that we do, where they're fully transparent, they're honest with each other, and we put together groups of 3 or 4. And they produce a weekly podcast, and we handle the publishing for them because there'll be spin-offs from us. So we'll still, the 4 of us will still kind of retain the Entreprogrammers rights because this is our idea and this is kind of our thing, but we'll facilitate it, and we'll even pay for the editing to get that published, as long as Eric, well, he'll have one less hour, but we could figure that out. But that's what I was thinking. I think it'd be kind of cool. And I was actually talking to my wife about this at the dinner table, and my 5-year-old daughter interjected, and she said, "Excuse me." And I was like, "Okay." And I thought she was going to say something totally off topic. And she's like, so then you could have those simple programmers could create more simple programmers and their own simple programmers. And then the whole world could be simple programmers.
Sophia just invented MLM.
Yes.
And I was like, well, it's Entreprogrammers, but you get the idea. But that actually is kind of a cool, thing that we could spawn off and create this really big movement, and create sort of an empire instead of just the one thing. And then it also keeps the original spirit from dying, because because there'll be fresh groups of actual programmers that are are entrepreneurs, and there's kind of this mentorship. I feel like we could create a movement. We could make Entreprogrammers great again. All right, that's my spiel.
So I've already started. After last week, after we talked about everything last week, I had Aaron Francis, who listens every now and then. He's in a couple of other Slack groups that I'm in. He reached out and invited me to a Slack group and mastermind called Bootstrap Biz. Brennan Dunn and Josh Pigford and what's his name from MicroConf, Mike Tabor.
Okay, yeah.
So there's big name people like that. There's a bunch of other really cool people in there. I've been asking questions in there all week and getting some really interesting ideas from them. But then on top of that,
I'd be really interested in being part of that.
Yeah, I think it's a great group. I have no idea what the process of inviting people is, but I'll see what that is. But then on top of that, Eric Normand, who I met at MicroConf last year, he does Lisp screencasts. He reached out, and he and I have been talking about putting together a screencast mastermind, specifically just centering around
developers
that do screencasts and ebooks.
Lisp screencast is sort of a
funny
one.
sort of an alliteration play on itself. My screencast has a list.
Both screencasts are super.
So I after we started talking about this on our mailing list, I started mentioning the idea to Eric, and he seems to be on board with it. So we kind of have our first little spinoff already in the works. He and I have been trying to figure out a good name, but we need to.
One thing we could do would be to keep it. I was thinking initially we might want to just keep it all on the same feed,
right?
Yeah, and it's all Entreprogrammers, and it's just different episodes, at least initially.
Yeah, or we could just leave I don't know. I mean,
because we've got an audience already. We've got a decent sized audience, so I think they would probably appreciate it.
I don't know. I mean, part of me thinks that there should definitely be like a master feed if you want to listen to all of the groups. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if we should. We could have them all on our feed for a little while, and then when they split off, ours just goes back to us talking again.
Well, what we could do is we could have the website have all of it, but then have them each have their own podcasts in iTunes that I think would.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because we want to really grow it to the point. Because the thing is, like, with the length of these two, someone is not going to be listening to multiple.
Right.
I mean, some people will listen to multiple groups, but in general, I mean, it takes a special kind of person, and I mean this in a nice way, and to listen to us banter for 2 hours. So you see what I'm saying? Like to say that, to find the kind of person that's going to listen to 8 hours worth of stuff a week, that's going to be, that will actually be a special person. Like,
it's funny you say that, but there are people that I run into, not a lot of them. Most people listen to 2 or 3 devchat.tv shows, but I've run into a few people, they listen to everything. And if you listen to everything, that's like 6 or 7 hours every week. And and it's like, do you do all of the things that all of the shows are about? Well, no, but I like it. And so,
Yeah, I think it's still a little bit different because it's more different topics and not than I think there we go. But yeah, I would say that, I mean, because we kind of want these things to be able to grow on their own, and some of them will become popular and and then but I do think it is important that we essentially retain the ownership of the Entrepreneur name and idea, and that these are spin-offs from our group, because for a couple of reasons. One, we're facilitating this. We kind of started the movement. Not that we can't, just for the people that are listening, they're like, well, that's not fair, John. Well, we don't make money off of, you know what I mean?
Right.
Eventually, maybe if we do this spin-off thing, we could, and then if there are really successful podcasts, we could help them we could share some of the monetization, or whatever we end up doing, the t-shirt sales or whatever, you know what I'm saying, like and
right,
have that tackled for them. But I think that we've got kind of we could be at the heads of a movement that I think we want to make sure that we maintain, and plus we want to maintain the control of saying, okay, look, this is how it works, right? Because the value of this is that it's transparent, is that and so we'd want to have the ability to say, look, you can go and do your own thing, but you can't call it Entre Programmers or whatever, or say you're affiliated with us if you're not, doing this. So
Entre Programmers TM.
Yes.
No, I like the idea. I think we need to figure out exactly, at what level we want to execute this, because I could see it going as, hey, look, if you put together a group like ours and you cover the costs of producing the episodes, then, be that through sponsorships or on your own, then, then we'll put them on the website. Or it could be more of a thing where, and I'm kind of leaning this way, to be honest, where we actually have people pay every month to be part of the groups. And the reason I say that is because, I think we've been lucky in that we're all motivated enough to do this without the incentive of, I just paid a couple $100 to be in this group.
Right.
But, that's because we're passionate about what Entre Programmers is about. And I want people to come in and be passionate about it, sure. But at the same time, I want people to come in and actually, be committed to it. And I think the money changes that conversation a little bit.
Okay. And it gives us some power to do some stuff too.
Yes. And we could do some really cool things. We could pull together some online and in-person events, and do some other things with Entre Programmers that, can really benefit business owners out there.
Okay, here's what I would propose then. What if we do this? What if we say we're looking for a few good people's Entre Programmers? We'll have to figure out where do we want them to email us or who, and then we basically say $50 a month is the cost, or it should be 100. I don't know.
So here's another thing that I'm going to throw out there really quickly is. So I was part of the podcast mastermind that Cliff Ravenscraft did.
Right.
And initially he was charging people $50 a month. And, of course, so anyway, he was trying to create an income stream from it. So that's another thing to consider. But, $50 a month, it wasn't sustainable for him to help operate 6 groups. And that's the other question I had is, are we going to be involved with and moderate some of these groups, or help facilitate some of the discussions, or are we going to be mostly hands off, or how is that going to work as well?
I would say that we act as we're more hands off. I would say if we did, let's say we did $50 a month, what we would do is we'd say, okay, email us. We're going here's your application, or maybe we'll put out a Google form. Actually, we should do this. We should have an application process, right?
Yep.
And you pay your initial $50 to show that you're serious. Okay. And what we do is, or maybe we don't charge it until, because we don't want to do a lot of refunds, because we filter it through, we find the serious people through the applications.
$10 non-refundable application fee.
Sure. That makes sense.
Why not 50?
I'd make the application free, and then we can bring the people in who we think will make a good fit.
It's part of the self-selecting process, though. The people that are the most serious about actually being a part of this are gonna be willing to pay that upfront cost.
$50 non-refundable application fee, and your first month is free if you get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and we're going to spend that money on the production of the show and the production of the community. It's not like it's going in anyone's pockets.
Right. And it'd be like this too, and just because the people that are listening, that if you fill out a good application, if you're serious, there's we're not going to reject. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's obviously you're not serious from the application.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you just want to throw away $50, but basically, if you pay the $50 and fill out the application, you're probably 90% guaranteed to be in a group, right? That's what I would unless
Okay.
Unless we get too many applications.
I was going to say.
We're not, though, because think about it. I mean, we have 1,000 listeners per month, so I don't know. I mean, if we get too many, then what we could do, then we could potentially start doing refund. I mean, what we want to do is essentially, I would say, like, because we want to get 3 groups initially with maybe 3 to 4 people on each group. So we're talking like 12 people perhaps, right? And then what we'll do is we could go through the application process. We can filter and match the right people up and create the groups. And then we can give them some basic instructions on how to get started. And we can handle they can drop their episodes into Dropbox, and we'll handle production for them. We'll essentially, assuming that Eric wants to take on this, responsibility. If not, but we'll handle the cost. Part of their $50 membership will be us organizing and getting them into the groups together, and then handling, like, all they have to do is show up. We make it simple. All they got to do is show up and create their Google Hangout and drop us the thing, and we'll get the podcast up. We know how to do podcast feeds and podcast art and all that stuff, we can talk about that as they go on. But
we'll have to get them all their own custom theme song.
Yeah. Custom theme song that I'm still not in after 2 years. Not that I care. I just think it's funny.
That 10-minute jingle guy is famous now. I can't get
big.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that would work, and maybe we come up with some kind of like small like legal agreement, saying that you understand that we can put advertising on your podcast, right? So
yeah.
But I think I mean, I don't know. I think we should. That would sounds like that would work. We just need a form and an email, or a form for someone to fill out.
Yeah. And then I think we also, somewhere on that form, need to tell people, look, this is the kind of person we're looking for. Not tell them how to fill out the form, but just, you need to have this kind of a background, or you need to, we're looking for people who are willing to share publicly pretty much everything in their business.
Yep.
And that way, people aren't filling out the form and,
And one thing cool that we could offer, one thing I want to do is make sure that we don't create extra burdens on ourselves, because we're all busy and stuff. But one thing we could offer too is to say that from time to time you could get one of us to drop into your call, and we could do some coaching for your group, and because we're we can help them with some problems and stuff like that. Not every, but every once in a while, they could request, and or we can help resolve some issues. They kind of have like a priority access to us, and between the 4 of us, I think we can probably handle 3 groups without much of a burden.
I agree. I also would like to create a private Facebook group or something for people who are in these groups, so that we can collaborate as a larger community. It could be Slack, it could be Facebook, it could be both. I don't know, but something.
Cool. Well, sounds like, anyone opposed to anything we've said here?
Not really. We could probably, if we could even get one of these groups going, it would basically replace our need for sponsors, I think, right?
Yeah.
No?
Not with one group. If we had 4 people in a group, $200 a month.
What are we?
We're spending about $250 a month right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think we want to necessarily get rid of sponsor. In fact, we might want to expand sponsorship. Just because.
In fact, we might want to actually have some sponsors, because at this point we don't have any. We haven't had DigitalOcean paying in a while. I don't remember if I ever told Eric to stop putting them on the feed.
Did they say they don't want to sponsor anymore, or
I was going to reach out to them and I haven't.
Oh. Yeah, it was me having missed a few times to request the money, and then I talked with Chuck a month or two ago when you guys were both out, and Chuck was saying that they've all but stopped all of their sponsorships for any kind of podcasts, including his.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I can reach out to them. They may sponsor us for much less than what I'm asking for my shows. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I raised my rates on them pretty significantly, and I think that was part of why they're not sponsoring my shows anymore.
Okay. But that's not, I mean, it's not a huge deal at this point, but as we expand out,
the reason I was mentioning that is mainly because we might need the advertising space to promote these groups.
Well, but I think that the sponsorship becomes important because I've been paying for this out of my pocket for a couple of months.
All right, so you need to say something about that.
I do. That kind of stuff.
So yeah, let's get you squared away to like maybe send an email after the thing so we can shell over some money.
I mean, I don't mind doing it. If this was like a huge burden, I would have said something a long time ago. But it's like, I don't want to deal with this. I'll just keep paying for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if we can do that, I think that would make sense. Then we don't actually have to rely on sponsorships. But if we do get sponsorships later, especially as things grow, I think having the budget to be able to do stuff, I still don't envision. I mean, maybe if this got really big, we'd actually take like real profits from it. But at this point, I would want to have the money simply so we could do cool stuff. Like this is kind of a fun thing. So we could do in-person events. So we could, buy shirts. We could do things like that. That would really, really make Entre-Programmers like a movement.
Basically, just buy all the tickets to MicroConf every year.
Yes.
Just clean them out.
Once a year, we take over all of Vegas for an entire week.
We just punch in 200 when we go to check out, and boom, done.
But if you think about it, if you play it forward, I mean, there's I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I always mix those up, but
John is not a farm boy.
I don't want the cart to wag the dog. Wait, what?
You could essentially have. I mean, we could have an Entre-Programmers conference at some point. Especially if we had spin-off multiple. We start with 3 spin-off groups, and then maybe we spin off 3 more sometime later, and 3 more, and then eventually they spin off. They are the mentors for the groups below them. And you could have a pretty big organization, and kind of this passing of the torch of like, as businesses graduate to higher levels and different people, gain experience and mentor other people. I think this could be pretty cool.
Well, the other thing is then it grows into a professional network of people that, have got this kind of success behind them. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm. So cool. So I think then what we need to do is assign out some tasks here. We need like an application. Mm-hmm. And I guess we can come up with the link for it now. We could just say it's like
Entre-Programmers/apply.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Entreprogrammers.com/apply. So if you go there, I think by the time this airs, then we'll.
Except for all the people that are listening live, they're furiously typing it in right now and getting nowhere.
404.
Dude, your page 404ing.
So who wants to do the application?
I can do that. I don't want to be in charge of money anymore. I'm bad at that. Let's put it that way. But I can create the form. I'll set up the Google form, and I'll put in a pretty link to redirect to it.
Okay. And then I guess we should talk about, I don't know. I'd say just type up what you think to put on the application, and then we can iterate a little bit over the, over the, I think you're probably, I have a feeling whatever you hack out, we'll pretty much agree with, like, because, we kind of all have the same idea.
I'll make sure to put the checkbox in there that says whether or not they're willing to be subjected to John's torture of workout programs.
Yes. Exactly.
Are you willing and able and medically cleared to submit to?
Yeah. By the way, I'm getting ripped. Not bad, right? So it's working. I didn't give you guys an update, so there's a visual update.
All the people listening to the audio. Wow.
Yeah.
Just imagine abs. Picture abs.
But okay, so that's cool. So that handles that, and then on the payment side, so we got to figure out how we're going to do payments because we need to take in payments from. Well, we're saying $50 on the application fee. Is there a way we can integrate payments with the Google form?
I can put in, give me your PayPal email address as one of the required fields, and then send them a link directly to PayPal where they make a one-time payment to, one of us, whoever that's going to be.
We could do. What if we set up a Entrepreneurs PayPal account?
I don't want to do recurring payments on PayPal. I'm fine with one-time payments, but recurring payments with them is nightmarish at best.
Yeah.
It would be better to set up, a simple, set up an Entrepreneurs Stripe account, but that needs to be backed by a bank account somewhere.
That's why I was suggesting a PayPal account is. So
well, even then, in order to pay for most of the things that we would want to pay, I guess a lot of places take PayPal, but not everywhere will.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't remember if Libsyn allows PayPal payments. Do you know about that, Chuck?
What do you mean for their
podcast hosting?
I believe they do.
Okay, if they do, then maybe it's worth the headache of PayPal, because I pay Eric through PayPal every month. And if Libsyn allows PayPal and we can just collect everything in PayPal, that would be probably the easiest way to go.
Well, you can get a PayPal credit card, and you can use that anywhere. So we
That's
could
true
use
too.
Oh, okay.
But somebody's name's going to have to be attached to it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think what the best way to do. Somehow we got to collect. I mean, we could eventually set up a bank account and all that. I'm just trying to think like for a quick.
Does Entre Programmers become a subsidiary of Simple Programmer?
I don't think you want to do it that way.
Yeah, I was
since I live in California.
Okay.
California it'll start to. It's like California's kind of like a plague. Like it'll reach. Like they'll be like all of a sudden you'll be paying California taxes on your business. You'll be like, what the hell? How? Oh, it's because you're involved with the Entre Programmers. So okay, I don't even live in. I don't even know this John dude.
Well, we could. I mean, it's not that expensive to set up an LLC or something.
Yeah.
Or we could set it up as a DBA under one of our businesses.
Yeah, I mean, eventually we should probably do it the right legal way and set up an LLC. But I think right now we want to kind of bootstrap this idea to make sure that it's actually going to work.
Yeah. I'd volunteer to do it under devchat.tv, but I've been having some cash flow issues lately, getting sponsors to pay me on time, and I don't want that to hold anything up. So,
okay, I'm trying to think if there's another. I mean, if we set up a PayPal account, I think that's probably the easiest thing. I don't think we need a lot to set up one, right?
No.
No.
It's you need an email address. You need to be able to prove who you are. You will have to, PayPal puts certain restrictions on your account if you don't have a backing bank account and or credit card.
Okay, right? but as long as we can accept money, right?
Yeah.
Well, you may be. I don't remember what the limitations are. I don't remember if we would be limited in how much we could accept. It's been forever since I've had to deal with not being verified on PayPal. Okay.
Well, I'll take that task. I'll set up a PayPal account.
Okay.
And see what what I figure out. Because if we can just get it set up and we can accept payments from there, then we can eventually set up the bank account and attach it to the PayPal, and then that would enable us to use Stripe in the future.
Right.
And we're talking about a small number of people right now. So even if we did recurring payments in PayPal for now, even I know that, then we could cancel those and move them over to Stripe, because we're not talking like hundreds of people that we don't know that, so.
Yeah.
Right.
There's another organization that I'm a part of that actually does their recurring payments through Gumroad. So it's another option, depending on how we want to set it up. And I don't know what all the implications are there, but I'm just throwing that out there as well.
Okay.
But a lot of stuff kind of automatically integrates with Stripe, so it's probably our easiest way to go anyway.
I could build, for now, probably just having somebody directly send us the $50 through PayPal is the best option. But
yes,
with Restrict Content Pro, since Entre Programmers is a WordPress site, it would be really easy for me to set that up for us and say, here's your $50 a month account, and that proves that that can integrate with PayPal for the monthly payments, or Stripe, or
Okay.
So there's options once we start heading down the road, but I think to start with, just having the PayPal account and giving them a link to directly send us money is going to be the easiest way to go.
Okay, cool. So that will take care of that, and we need to have. So I'll have by Tuesday a PayPal account set up for us, and Derek will have the application set up at entreprogrammers.com/apply. Is there any other things we need?
Do you want to use we have an email address. I'm running the DNS stuff on my Google Apps, Google for Business, I think they call it now. Do we want a podcast or a PayPal at entreprogrammers.com? We already have podcast at entreprogrammers.com.
What would that be for? The
email address for PayPal and other things.
That's probably good. Or shouldn't we just use podcast at entreprogrammers.com for?
Either way is fine with me.
Okay. I don't know if it matters.
Okay.
I think podcast at entreprogrammers.com. We can just make a note. If I hold on. No.
John's tethered. His leash is too short.
All right. So I don't forget this podcast at entrepreneurs. You know what? I could actually make a note on a computer that's right in front of me, but
no.
That would be too easy.
No, we need more moments of awkward silence while we watch you get stuff out of your desk.
All right. So I think that would set us up for now. I mean, eventually, once we get past this step, then we'll need to do actually form the groups, which we can meet and talk about, and then create the actual podcast feeds, like the iTunes,
right?
And set up that process and the doc we sent to everyone, the welcome doc. So, but let's see how many crazy people apply for this. And I think we'll. I don't know. I think we might fill all 12 slots.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
I'll probably
At least we'll have one
about it on my shows too.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Maybe I'll throw out well, no, I'm not going to throw out a YouTube ad. Won't not get the right kind of people.
Yeah. So, are we good? Should we talk about our actual business now?
I think we're good unless anyone else has anything to add to it.
No, I mean, for now, that's good enough.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more through the mailing list and just deal with things as they come up.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone got anything they must share or exciting news or
Well,
questions?
I've got more questions about what I'm doing with Watch Me Code. After asking a lot of good questions in that new Slack that I'm in, I've had a fair amount of pretty good feedback and made some tweaks to the site and adjustments here and there, and generally had a few small wins come out of it pretty quickly. But there was a pretty big discussion with a couple of people where they were talking about how the screencasting model, the info product and education training material type model, is pretty much guaranteed to be high churn, low lifetime value kind of situation, and often the monthly subscription model doesn't really match the reality of what people need in terms of buying the training that they need. A lot of people are going to want to have their company pay for the training material, and companies hate monthly recurring fees. They want the one-time expense that they can write off and be done with it. So I've been thinking about what I'm doing with Watch Me Code again, and what I did last year with my bundle sales of RabbitMQ and a few other launches that I had, and how I've had essentially zero in bundle sales this year, and I've had a few thousand earlier in the year, but nothing in the last few months. And it's making me wonder, if I should continue to have the monthly membership but change the way it works, instead of continuing to release one episode a week, give people the option of a monthly or annual membership, but set it up so that things are more focused into course launches. So kind of halfway in between what I'm doing now versus what Wes Boss is doing, where he does these big launches and has separate websites for each course, and he makes $100,000 off of a launch, and then he goes and works on the next one for 3 months. If there's a balance to be found to where I have the monthly recurring revenue, I have the annual memberships, but I don't release every week, and I focus on the big launch every month or two, push out the launch sales for the individual sales, as well as give people the option of having the subscription. I'm kind of rambling at this point because I don't have a really clear definition of what I'm thinking about, but that's kind of the direction that I've been thinking, because I know I'm missing out on a huge amount of revenue for one-time purchases this year. That was half of my revenue last year, and it's like a tenth of my revenue this year, if that.
So I've got some thoughts on it, like that are kind of, I'm seeing things converge more, because there's the kind of thing like what you're talking about is actually more like what we do at Simple Programmer, right? So
Okay.
Because we create products and we launch those products,
right,
and we evergreen sell those products, but we don't actually have, we sort of have a monthly now with the Patreon, but it's almost like this. I'm sort of coming to this kind of realization. You should do everything, almost like, so every opportunity, like you should have products that you sell, that you launch. You should have some way for people to pay you a monthly recurring subscription for some kind of membership. You should have paraphernalia, t-shirts, and
which I've been thinking about that as well for a
merchandise and branding stuff, right? You should have,
are you guys selling merchandise?
What's that? We actually, you know what? We have a 99 Designs competition going on right now to design some cool T-shirts. So,
oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I'll share it with you guys once we get to the final designs. But
nice.
But yeah, so I'm almost thinking like you kind of want to have all of these pieces, and like your business model is geared more towards the monthly, but then you expand out to the other. Whereas
right. So my question there would be: is the monthly subscription going to give people access to the products that I sell, or would the products be something separate?
If you can keep them something separate, I think that might be a more profitable model, but the only thing is now you've got to have value in both.
right,
that make it worth
Yeah.
it.
and I don't have any. I don't have an ability to separate to separate things right now. All of my products are what people get with the monthly or annual subscription.
One option would be to launch to treat the new products that you're creating as like a big course launch, like a live course launch, and basically you give people the option of like, hey, you can pay me $500. We can do this together. There's 20 or 30 spots. We'll go through this together in real time. You'll get the stuff as I create it over the next 2 months, and I'll answer your questions and stuff. And then after that, it goes in the membership area. You can get it there for free, or I mean, not for free, but for your membership fee. So you can either participate live or you can get it later. Because with that, the trouble is the one downside of doing the bigger launches is then you have to make sure that you can sell it afterwards, right? And that's where things tend to fall down. So if you can almost kind of like do the big launch, get the big, get paid a lot of money up front to create the content, and then you just sort of you almost punting on the long-term sales, and you're just gonna, rather than putting a lot of effort into getting all those funnels working, you're just going to use that to feed your membership site.
Well, that's an interesting idea. So in that scenario, I would stop delivering episodes weekly, and I would build and record all of the Docker stuff, launch it all at once, and then after 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever after the launch, then it would all go into the
I would say months. I would like deliver it. I would deliver it over time to the people that paid for the launch. Make it into more of a class type of structure, and then work. As after the initial batch of people have worked through it, then you kind of dump it into the membership area. You still get all the content, but you're not getting the benefit of going through it with other people and whatever kind of, if you want to have any kind of interactive component or whatever.
Right. It seems like what Front End Masters does, where they have an actual in-person live class, and they record all of that, and then it goes up on their site, and people pay the membership fees to get access to it afterwards.
Yeah,
I've been wanting to do a how to podcast course, and I think this would be a really good way to do it too.
Yeah.
So it's you're paying for the live in person on Slack,
actually,
hand holding access.
Totally tangential to that. I've been thinking about doing a how to screencast course just based on your questions this week, Josh.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 things that I want to tell you that you need to look at and think about and do, but I know you're not there yet because you just bought ScreenFlow, and I could legitimately do a course on a class on how to screencast and turn that into, and maybe that's a good option for the first version of the first experiment for this, to see if something like that would work.
That'd be a good one. A lot of people would pay for that. That'd be something that we could promote too to Simple Programmer, potentially do some kind of.
And I've had some really successful blog posts in the past talking about the things that I do to make my screencasts the way that they are. And so those kinds of blog posts could turn into cheat sheets and other things that I deliver through the course to all the different people taking the course or buying it afterwards. Yeah, which adds more value in itself.
Here's an idea too: is maybe just like one thing that you could really do with Watch Me Code at this point, until you grow big enough to innovate, is to just look for someone who is like 5 times more successful than you are, and just copy them. Just do exactly what they're doing. Not the content, but the business model. Just look and see what kind of emails do they send out, what kind of ads do they run. If they run ads, what is the navigation of their site? How do they launch things? What is their pricing? And basically duplicate that. I mean, it won't be exactly conversation.
Yeah, a big part of these questions came from not only the Slack group, but also from watching Wes Boss do this for a while and seeing the success that he has. And it's interesting to me that he has completely separate websites. You know, you can find everything.
Things?
Yeah. There's es6.io and reactforbeginners.com and What the Flexbox, and he's got another one that he's working on now. And so he's got all these different websites. You can get to them all through wesboss dot whatever his website is.
Right.
But it's not collectively one site. Each one has its own, login and membership and everything else. He's got some of it tied together because I log into the ES6IO affiliate dashboard and I see affiliate links and sales for all of them. So it's somewhat tied together, but they are, from the user perspective, all separate websites. And so that's a big part of what started me asking these questions to begin with, was wondering if I should be taking the approach that Wes does and getting that one-time big chunk of income, and then doing little bits of promotion here and there to feed the monthly stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you have a smaller, like it makes sense. What we're doing with launching kind of like evergreen products makes a ton of sense because we just ticked over 40,000 people on our mailing list.
Right.
Wes has,
he's got 30,000 Twitter followers, so he's probably got 60,000.
His mailing list is huge.
Yeah,
and
which is also a huge question. How the crap do I build my mailing list like to that kind of size? Because it's
Wes writes about stuff that, like, his blog, from what I've seen, is like lower in the funnel, right? I mean, he's like, there's just more people. There's more people out there, and like his stuff does well on Hacker News because a lot of it's like introductory level type of stuff. So there's just more people for him.
I'm not sure about the separate domain names, though.
I would vote against that. But
maybe like we're landing pages and stuff, but I would want to get as much Google juice as possible.
Right. Yeah. I'm actually thinking about killing RabbitMQ4Devs.com. The content on that page is out of date. The price listing is out of date, and
we just killed.
It would make sense for me to migrate what is there into a good landing page on Watch Me Code, have that domain redirect, and then update the content to include everything that I show in my building microservices with RabbitMQ guide that I have on Watch Me Code now.
I've actually been doing that with the conferences and moving it all over to devchat.tv. Yeah. And it's for a lot of the same reasons. The other thing is that then I can set it up so that after the conference is over, I can just tick it over to, buy access to the videos and watch the videos.
Right.
So.
By the way, I found a plugin. I don't know if this might be useful for you, Chuck. I found a plugin that lets you schedule updates to WordPress pages. So nice. You can create what I did for my course launch, what I did was I wanted to take the sales page down when the deadline hit. And so I just had an update where I just basically deleted all the content and put like a closed, big closed stamp on it. And then I scheduled that to get updated when the time rolled around. So I didn't have to be up at midnight taking the page down.
Yeah, the way I did it is I moved the conference layout off of the old AngularRemoteConf.com from last year, and I just updated it so now it's a WordPress, I don't know what to call it, template. I think that's the right term. It's a template for each single conference instance. And I have a start date and an end date on there. So when when it's past the end date, then it just switches over so that it doesn't show the call for proposals or the schedule. It just lists the talks. And then if the talk has a video associated with it, then it puts a watch link up that takes them over to the conference talk page. And I have a conference talks page that essentially has the Vimeo and all of the other information, and then it actually lists down the right side all of the other videos from the conference. Mm-hmm. And so I need to refine that a little bit so that essentially I can set things up so that it requires a membership for a certain amount of time, and then it requires an email address after that. But yeah, once I get all of that together, then I'm going to move all of the old conference stuff over to devchat.tv, and then I'm going to set up a whole bunch of drip automation. So if people enter an email address or buy a ticket, then it puts them in an email sequence that says, thanks for watching the video. Here's the next relevant conference that's coming up, and just, does a sales sequence for that.
Nice.
But yeah, I know it's kind of a tangent on what Derek's talking about, but yeah, I like the idea of putting it all on one website so that it's, hey, look, you can go to the account page, you can see everything you've purchased, and you can just get access to all of it in one place, and all of the sales and cross promotion, and you purchase and it brings up the pitch on the next product, which you keep talking about, Josh, that you wish sales systems would do. You can put all that in one place and make it all work. Yeah, my thoughts, Derek, as far as what you're talking about goes, I agree. I think you should probably do both if you can.
Mm-hmm. I just need to find the most effective way to do both. And yeah. I'm seriously thinking that the weekly drip of content is probably not the best way. It's fine if that's what you're doing, like with Ruby Tapas.
Right.
That's what Abdi is doing. That's great. And a screencast with Ben Sherman. But for what I want to do, I think the weekly drip of screencast is probably no longer serving me as well as it did in the past.
I think
Go ahead, Chuck. Sorry.
I think you can do that. I think you can do the weekly drip of content, but you can also allow people to get it all when it's hot, mm-hmm. and then the weekly drip of content's just another product. So it's you're just going to get it every week. You're not going to get the entire course or series or whatever all up front.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so, you kind of have a higher tier, higher access level that's like, hey, look, you kind of get everything, and you get it all as soon as it's, ready to drop. And so you can do the launch, and when the launch is over, the people who are paying that recurring fee or, are on your mailing list for that stuff, they can just go in and they can buy access for it now. And then if they're paying for the membership, then it drips it out to them, and that's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I say again, just go and look at what Wes Boss is doing, and look at if it's a good model, and copy pretty much everything. Like, look what blog posts is he making, how often does he publish them, what YouTube videos does he make, how often does he publish them. I mean, you might not be able to. He might have a team, and it might be difficult to. But
I don't think he does actually.
No, it's just him.
Well, then you can definitely do it, and then just, I mean,
he does have the advantage of doing it full time, but that the only advantage that gives him is
he also teaches that. So
he does that. That's he doesn't have any clients anymore. He fired all of his clients a while back, and is technically full time course development. But he does all of the community stuff as well.
But yeah, just kind of follow that to a T, and then when you start getting traction from that, then you can improvise. Then you can innovate some, based on. But I think that you've got enough of you should be able to duplicate his results to some degree, right? With just that'll at least take you to the next level, and then from there you've got to figure out a way to differentiate and be innovate in your own systems. But I think that's a good model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I can take steps toward what he's doing without alienating my current subscribers and customer base as well.
Yeah.
Like I said, killing RabbitMQ for devs.com, rebuilding it on the Watch Me Code site, selling my guides as individual as one-time purchases, getting kind of moving down that path and moving kind of back toward what I was doing last year with the RabbitMQ bundle, where I had the big launch after all of the videos and everything were done. But it's slightly different this year because I'm not adding things that aren't available in the subscription. It's just okay. I think I have plenty of work to do out of that.
We should probably actually wrap up. It's
I was gonna say, if we want to keep our new format.
Unfortunately, because we had to discuss that thing at the beginning, we didn't get to go too much into but I think it's worth it because So should we do some thoughts?
Sure. I'll go with just kind of the theme of what happened with us today and everything moving forward. Change is inevitable. Are you going to be a part of the change, or are you going to die kicking and screaming while everybody else runs past you?
Kicking and screaming.
Seems to be a lot of people trying to choose that this year.
Yeah.
That's my thought for the week.
I mean, I've got a couple of things that I've been thinking about. I think the big thing for me this week has just been I've been doing this 12-week year. And, I keep mentioning this book. I've mentioned it on the podcast a bunch of times and everything. And I've been using it as a planning tool. And just having a plan, knowing what I need to get done this week, knowing when I'm going to do it, knowing what I'm working toward over the next, 12 weeks, and kind of having that target out there has really been important. So if anything, it's just, get a vision, figure out what, whatever time horizon. For me, the 12 weeks works really well, what I need to get done on that time horizon, and then plan out what I got to do to get it done.
I'm going to kind of echo what you said. I was talking about, I think last week, about burnout and and how I re-implemented my routine, and I'm going back strict to the Pomodoro technique. But along with that, I think, one thing I'm just setting a consistent time to wake up every morning has been extremely beneficial. I'm not a super early riser, but I'm waking up at 6:30 every morning, and I've been doing that now for the last 2 weeks, and I am just, my energy levels are so much higher. I'm just kicking ass. I'm getting more strict on the Pomodoro to make sure that I'm hitting stuff done. So I'm basically done with my work by 1 most days. I mean, sometimes it spills over and stuff if I'm doing interviews or have calls and stuff. But essentially, the stuff I intend to do that day is done by 1. And that just, by being consistent, having the consistent time to wake up in the morning, and by compressing that time, it really, really is having a huge impact. I'm getting so much more done. I feel so much more energized. I've got a little bit of slack room in my schedule, so I can kind of breathe a little bit. Because what I realized was happening to me was that it was this never settling feeling. So I would, at 3:00, I'm supposed to go and do my workout. And if I am working right up to 3 and I've got stuff and it's 3:15, I'm like, shit, I got to go. Right. Then it stays in your head, and it it accumulates this mental cruft that weighs on you. It over time. And so by my deadline being I need to be done by 1 and work out at 3, that enough of a buffer is even if I spill over, I'm finishing up the stuff and it's done. And by the time it's ready to work out, I'm like, okay, it's 2:50. I'm ready to go. And my head is clear. I feel like I got a lot done for the day, and I can go and I can start the next day fresh instead of carrying over guilt and this sense of confusion and unfinished business from the previous day. So I don't know how that's a thought, but that's
personally, that's actually exactly what I've been talking about with my therapist this week. So yeah, spot on for that. Because in my case, it's dealing with the transition between work and home life, and how in the mornings I need to set the expectation that, you know, I wake up at 6 or 6:15 with the kids. I don't do anything work related until, you know, 8 o'clock. At a minimum, maybe even 8:30 some days, because there's other things that need to happen around the house. But I set that time frame, I set that mental expectation, and I let everything else be what it is, you know, without me thinking about it or doing anything about it. And I haven't done a very good job of doing that yet this week. I've tried a few times, and it's a struggle for sure. But I can look back on it and see the direct benefits of it, because there were a couple of situations that previously would have blown up on me, which were non-issues this time around.
Yep.
Yeah, I also want to pile onto that, because I've been getting up at 6 o'clock every day this week, and it's just, you know, just having that routine. I get up, I listen to a general conference talk from the Mormon General Conference. They have it twice a year. And, you know, read my scriptures and kind of just get a start to my day, and it's made a huge difference this week. I don't feel as overwhelmed.
I was listening to an audiobook a couple weeks ago that was kind of like it was one of those male-female, like, gender difference type books. And one of the things that was really good in this book was they were talking about how men tend to be, you know, we're not as good at multitasking. We tend to, our brains tend to focus on one thing at a time. And men especially tend to use routine as a coping mechanism to deal with that. Because when you have a routine, you don't have to think about it. You can put your brain on autopilot, and your brain can focus on something else, and you're not. But what happens is when you have that, if your routine gets interrupted, you get a cortisol dump into your system, and it basically triggers the fight or flight response. And I have definitely felt that with myself. Like, you know, if my routine gets thrown off, it is a serious problem. And actually, like, when we were talking about sending, you know, Levi started kindergarten this year, and we were talking about whether we were going to do the bus or to try to drive him. And my wife was like, well, you know, maybe we could take turns, and some days you could drive him in. And I'm like,
some days.
Some days. And like, and taking 45 minutes.
That's not only bad for you, but that's bad for him.
Yeah,
he needs
exactly.
the consistency in the routine.
So what we ended up deciding to do the bus, and I walk him to the bus stop every morning. It's a little 10 minutes of our time we spend together, and then it's kind of like the start of my day now. Like I do my workout, I get showered up, I take Levi to the bus stop, and then I start my day. And it's like, it's so wonderful. It's actually really nice instead of being this big stressful thing. So.
I thought that maybe on my tombstone it might say, "Don't interfere with me." When you said cortisol dump, I'm like, what? Nice. Like, anytime anyone's like, because I'm pretty pleasant, but when I'm pissed off, it's because you've you've interrupted me in some way. You've interfered with me.
And there were probably 3 or 4 other tombstones that say he interfered with him. So my thought is going to be, I think the simple tool that you use is better than the complex tool that you don't. Like so for my class that I'm teaching, the copywriting thing, I came up with this really, basically just a really, really like a one simple streamlined template that people can use that works in a lot of different situations with your emails. And the feedback has been really, really good. It's like, it gives you rails, like it's like, just do this, right? And then you can get fancy later. Once you're really good at this, you can get fancy later. And people have been really responding well to it. So it's kind of what I do when I write is I have, you have a template that you follow. And that's something we've talked about too. John and I have talked about as far as like, we're going to be streamlining a lot of the marketing that we do. And just like when we're going to do a launch or whatever, you know, we're just going to follow a template, and it makes it takes a lot of decisions out of it and just makes the whole thing a lot smoother.
Yep. Simple and prolific is better than optimal and complicated.
Yes.
Alrighty. We did pretty good.
Only 12 minutes over. Pretty good for our first try.
Not
Well, we
bad.
started a little late.
Oh, that's
too.
true. We did start
We did.
late, so we're only like 5 or 6 minutes over.
All right. So for listeners out there, watchers, go to entrepreneurprogrammers.com/apply. Have your $50 ready.
Yes.
And let us know what you think, please.
Yeah.
You know, if
Definitely.
you want to do this, participate in this, experiment, and there'll probably be 12 slots. So you might want to act quickly on Tuesday, or when this airs. So.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, guys.
All righty.
See you next week.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.